Hey everyone, welcome back to the Natural Disasters channel. If you've ever wondered what could bring the modern world to a grinding halt, today's video might just answer that. Stay with us until the end of the video to see if we will survive. Imagine this. A massive solar storm strikes Earth, knocking out power grids, satellites, and disrupting global communications. It sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie, but it's a very real threat. In today's video, we're diving into how solar flares and coronal mass ejections, or CMEs, could wreak havoc on modern society, and why we should be paying closer attention to our sun. So, let's get into it. First off, let's break down what exactly a solar flare and a coronal mass ejection are, because understanding this is key to grasping the potential risks. A solar flare is a sudden burst of energy from the sun's surface, releasing intense radiation that can affect everything from radio signals to GPS systems here on Earth. These flares are like cosmic lightning, powerful and fast. Then we have coronal mass ejections, or CMEs. These are massive bursts of solar wind and magnetic fields rising up from the sun's corona, blasting outward into space. Think of them as giant charged particles racing toward Earth at millions of miles per hour. When these charged particles collide with Earth's magnetic field, they can trigger a phenomenon known as a geomagnetic storm, but more on that in a second. Now, why should we care? Well, solar flares and CMEs aren't just cosmic light shows. They have the potential to knock out critical technology that we rely on every day. And we're talking about everyday life here. Things like the electricity grid, satellites, communication systems, and even GPS could all be affected. First up, the electricity grid. Power grids are built to handle a lot of electricity, but they're not designed to handle the massive surges of electromagnetic energy from a solar storm. A big CME could induce electric currents in power lines, potentially frying transformers, circuits, and substation equipment. In a worst-case scenario, we're talking about widespread power outages that could last for weeks, months, or even longer. The longer the grid is down, the harder it is to get things back online. Next, satellites. These are our lifelines for communications, weather monitoring, navigation, and even the internet. CMEs can damage the delicate electronics inside satellites, causing them to fail, become unusable, or even fall out of orbit. And let's not forget about GPS and communication systems. Solar storms can disrupt radio signals and GPS accuracy, which could affect everything from air travel to shipping routes, even emergency services. Now, let's take it a step further. Imagine this scenario. A large solar storm strikes Earth, and suddenly all the technology we rely on stops working. No power, no GPS, no internet, and no communication. It's hard to overstate how deeply this would affect every part of society. In the modern world, we're incredibly reliant on technology. Our banking systems, dependent on satellites, the internet, depends on satellite networks and fiber optic cables that could be knocked out. Healthcare? Many hospitals rely on electronic records and equipment that would stop working. Agriculture? That's right, even farmers use GPS and automated machinery to plant and harvest crops. Essentially, we'd be forced to revert to pre-industrial ways of living. It's a terrifying thought. Most people today have no idea how to survive without modern conveniences. The economy would come to a halt, supply chains would be interrupted, and chaos could ensue. You might be thinking, this sounds like a nightmare, but is it really possible? Well, history gives us a major warning sign. In 1859, the world experienced what's now known as the Carrington Event, the most powerful solar storm ever recorded. This massive solar flare knocked out telegraphs, the communication technology of the time. Some operators even reported receiving electric shocks from the surge. If such an event happened today, it would have catastrophic consequences for our interconnected high-tech world. So, is there anything we can do to prevent this? Unfortunately, there's no way to stop the sun from doing its thing, but we can prepare. Scientists are working on better forecasting systems to predict when a major solar storm is coming, and research is underway to build more resilient infrastructure that can withstand these solar blasts. Countries like the US and Russia are also developing technologies to shield critical infrastructure from solar radiation and to harden their power grids against potential surges, but there's still a lot of work to be done. So, while a solar storm strong enough to wipe out our technology might sound like something from a post-apocalyptic movie, the truth is, it's a real threat, but by understanding the risks and working to strengthen our infrastructure, we can hopefully prevent the worst-case scenario. If you found this video eye-opening, make sure to give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and subscribe for more content on natural disasters, science, space, and survival. Stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one.